This conference will now be recorded.
This conference will now be recorded.
All right. Stand in good place. Front flag. It's a little warm. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, yeah, so this room is different. Acoustics are a little bit. Probably.
Can you hear me, Mike? So Lord, as we gather this day to do the important business for the people of the village of Owego, grant us wisdom, compassion, and understanding. Amen.
Amen. So yeah, one thing we might need in this room that we didn't ever need before is like microphones and stuff. Some kind of sound system.
The county George.
This room's much bigger and has a drop ceiling and
We're acoustics.
yeah, more absorbing acoustics, I guess. So anyway. We're supposed to be public hearings, they'll do the next.
I think that's next.
So the first item, as usual, is public comment. Anything from the public?
I like the new room. Moment. Well, yeah, that's all I got. I'll wait for the other.
Oh, perfect. All right, next thing is department head reports. Robin, you're online. Do you want to go in case you have to go to Gatlin Hill Road?
I did not have to go. All righty. Well, so far this month, we've had 21 calls. And thanks to Stephanie Cole's wonderful grant writing skills, once again, we got the Truman Faulkner grant for another stretcher mount to be placed in the ambulance. And our plan of attack is 3-3 is in Long Island right now. We are going to try to have them deliver it to VCI in New Jersey on the way up, have the lift put in, have it delivered there, and then when it comes back, it'll be good to go. So once again, Stephanie has outdid herself and got a set for us. Also, our new per diem, Matt started last week. He is a white cloud. He only got one call in 3 days, but we met with the medical director and he was good for him to go. So that's what he's been doing. So he's going to try and fill in like on Mondays so that Sonny would be working Fridays and hopefully we won't have a gap. So other than that, I really don't have anything. Everything's going pretty good.
All right. Thanks, Robin.
Yeah, that grant total is $24,989.82.
Thanks. Just a little bit.
Yeah, she's on a roll, I'll tell you that.
Stephanie is top notch when it comes to grants.
Good. Anybody have anything for Robin? For Racy? Anything?
One thing I had, the scrap vehicle or the surplus vehicles that we listed off before.
Yep.
A few more days back. This Friday at 2, we're gonna do the opening for the equipment that the employees wanted.
Okay.
So we're moving along with that. When we did that, I overlooked a 3-point hitch finish mower. The Ford tractor that we're selling at sewer plant is the last village tractor that's even large enough for this mower. So I would like that declared surplus. I can't find a make or model on it. There's a sticker on the back that's half gone that you can't even tell what make it even was. It's a 60-inch finished mower, 3-point hitch. I'd like that declared surplus. If somebody could make that motion for me.
I'll make a motion that we declare that scrap.
All right. Discussion about that? Surplus.
Mayor, the only item to the surplus, I think,
Surplus,
not
okay.
technically related to the surplus note.
Surplus,
I remember, I think it was at the last meeting, I communicated to the trustees that the revisions to the open meetings law require that we know that an action is going to be proposed at meeting, that the agenda include the proposed resolution or motion. So Tracy, I know I actually talked to the chief today about something that I think he's also seemed to come up and didn't get it on the agenda. So I just ask, when you have stuff like this, make sure you get it to Kim so that she can get it in writing on the agenda.
He's been,
Yeah, he's been down in the beach area.
If it's on their department, does it still have to be on the agenda?
It should, and we, Tracy was on vacation, we sent an email last week to get stuff on here, it was like Friday, so we should probably send an email like Wednesday or Thursday. We're getting there.
But Fred, yes, I think if it's an action that's being taken by the village board, it needs to be on the agenda. As long as we know about it. If it's something that's truly like a last minute, we didn't know about this, came up just today, you can take action on that stuff. Things like knowing about the hitch is going to be surplus, you can probably find that.
get a vote.
Yep. So we got a motion and a second. Any discussion on the hitch more? Rest. Ron,
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
Charles,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
And I'm moving forward with the other stuff, talking to the auction place, getting stuff running that will run. Get arrangements to get the squads that are here that won't run. Up and they're saying they're gonna come and we'll move them up for us.
okay.
So we're moving along with that.
Is there a particular date for the auction or is it just?
He's shooting for the April auction and I think he said it's the first Saturday in April. That we want to get the stuff up there. So. Other than that, I don't really have anything else.
Good question. Rusty?
There seems to be some questions and disagreements or whatever about things that we may not have put into our motion about offering surplus vehicles to village employees. We didn't put any detail in there. There seems to be a number of questions about that. So do we need to make that clear that it's a time frame? It's we have up until this time to do it, all the details of it?
Oh,
We didn't put any details.
Didn't know there was any questions. So this is all new to me, so.
Well, what we did today is we called out all the departments that were interested.
Yes.
This Friday should be.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
So we need to put a motion in.
Well, who decided that?
Well, we decided it because they want to take it the other ones next week.
You said we decided. I'm just asking how this came about and what our details are.
The way you got to there is because they're gonna come get the other ones. And if the village employees don't buy them, they'll be able to give them to them.
Get them to them.
So I'm just asking if we need to
So
set some parameters or anything. Did we set about exactly who could bid on, how did we do on that?
It was just at the meeting, as I recall, the village employees had first, dibs on stuff.
I know, but what I'm getting at is we made it very bad. Did we make it a competitive bid process? Or did we make it anything in particular? Or was it pretty bad?
it was vague.
We're going to be the sealed bid.
Did we say that? I'm just asking what we did.
No, but anybody that asked, it was left up to me to make, and anybody that's asked me about it, that's what I told had to do. It's a sealed bid and.
It's fine with me if the decision was made that you can set the parameters and all that stuff. That's fine with me.
I thought that was said at that meeting.
I'm just checking. I'm not trying to bust you. I'm just.
No, I.
We should go back.
Oh, yeah.
So anyways, sealed bid, due Friday at
Two, you said,
do it 2, we're gonna open it at 2, so they can bring it in 1 minute until, due Friday, 2 o'clock, sealed bid. I would like, I may have to make a motion to this, that this is not an absolute option. This is upon approval of the board option. So if somebody bids $1 for something that we think is worth $2,000, we're not going to sell it. It's not, well, we didn't say that, so it's not an absolute option. We must accept the bid option. Is that something that makes sense?
What was I don't remember what the language of the original motion was.
I don't know if I have it.
Well, it's probably, it's in the minutes.
I made that motion and it was for a fair market value or a range, and Tracy was going to handle it. And it sounds like he's handled it perfectly by announcing the sealed bids that are on Friday.
As
So,
long as I saw the market value, I was to handle it. I thought it was what his word it was, but
That's, I don't know if that's exactly, but that, I'm recollecting.
That-
something.
it was,
The intention was Tracy had delegated authority to make some of those decisions about what the value to accept it was. Because there's always a concern that somebody bids too low, we don't want to accept that.
So we're going to, well, assume that we made that motion correctly and that you have the authority to accept or reject the bid on those things. Okay, then I'm comfortable.
Okay.
And that the deadline and all those things you said. Okay. Thank you.
Anybody have anything else for Tracy?
Welcome back.
I'm hopefully getting you some help here.
be awesome.
Yeah. Do we have anything from, I know the fire chief was here and had to leave to go on a call. I don't think he really had anything, did he?
Yeah. I have a couple things. Just a quick note. There are many stats of how many calls and how many things, but he did generate a quick thing that in January we had 30 arrests. This isn't all our calls and all our things, which are many times. 30 arrests in January and 42 arrests in February.
From the fire department?
You should. This is, I thought you, oh, I thought you were So Jimmy, so Jimmy arrested.
Those firemen.
I'm doing it. I'm writing things down. Want to do the police? Mike, want to do the police now?
Okay, do they have 40 and 30?
30 call. 30 arrests in January, 42 arrests in February. People give you whatever stats and things.
He does put them in the paper, his stats too. Listen,
I'm just doing it for the
rest.
Information.
I forget the number of calls, it was in the hundreds.
Yeah.
So if I can jump in, so one of the things, I did talk to the police chief today, he called me about the agenda or the motion that he wants tonight. But in that conversation, I had suggested to him that he go back, he used to do a written report. And I suggested that he go back to doing a written report, that he try to get that to the clerk's office by like, I don't know, 10th, say Wednesday before meetings, that way it can be included in the agenda. And in that report, he can say, here are the actions that I'm asking the board to take. And so Tracy, I mean, it's a way to, just think to yourself, like if you have a written report, I need to put it in my actions. Robin, same thing, if you can hear me, maybe do that. Because then also we might not need you at the meetings if you're putting a written report. Anyway.
And Chief took that to heart, and actually that's one of the reasons he was starting to do that. He said he couldn't generate one for us as quickly tonight, but that's one of the reasons for that information. He intended. So I go on with the rest of the place. Okay, so because we want to know things ahead of time, et cetera, ahead of time. The chief would like to hire a gentleman for part-time officer. Gentleman's name is William T, middle initial T, Rodney, last name Serkic, Serkic Jr. This gentleman is a retired Vestal police officer. He's 40 years old. He's had 20 years of service as a certified police officer. He holds all the current credentials and continues to work as a police officer for New York State. As And so we'd like to hire him at $25 an hour, part-time, to fill. Once again, this is not adding anything to the budget, just to fill whatever hours. So I would like to make a motion that we hire. And the chief has interviewed him and done very successful. Mr. Serkis Jr. as a part-time police officer. $25 an hour. Started as soon as all things with his other city chief.
We don't have to set probation.
We don't just have a sentence for these gentlemen that are retired and credentialed. Actually, you don't have to have by law. They don't have to.
Very much. All right, any discussion on that? Rusty?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
Charles?
Yeah. Yeah.
Laura?
Yeah.
That's everything. That's everything. That's everything from the fire chief, not one of the police.
Yeah.
Bring that.
All right, you got anything, Rod? Anyone? The clerk's office?
Nothing, you got nothing to the fire chief position?
The fire chief, no, nothing from.
Yeah. The elections, next Tuesday.
Tomorrow.
Motion on that. Meeting with the election inspectors Wednesday, picking up stuff from the Court of Election tomorrow. They'll deliver the stuff on Monday.
At the Central Station.
Central Station for the last.
Because we had talked about potentially having it here, but we should have this one at the central station. And get people ready that this is going to be the place, not spring it on the last second.
Yeah, no, once we're all settled, this will be a nice room for us.
Yeah, it would be easier for the election. Then they, the fire department won't have to move all the vehicles. Sometimes they're moving 4 or 5 vehicles.
And there's parking here. Benefits.
I've already back in.
As long as you don't hit the building. You want to hit the building now, you hit those concrete barriers.
I did that the other one.
Okay.
Hit it real hard. All right. Next thing on the agenda, update retainer agreement from our friend who's a lawyer.
So, Mayor, I'll give you an update on this, but then I also wanted to, suggest, we talked about at the last meeting, or after the last meeting, with updating the agenda to do like potential consent items. This would be, all of these, if there's no real major discussion to be had amongst them, the board could entertain a motion to pass them all as a consent, as presented. And that and do all of them. We can.
I'm okay with that.
If anybody disagrees with that conclusion that all of them are consent items, then one of, whichever specific item you'd like to discuss can be pulled from the consent agenda and then discussed as a separate item. It's just a way
You're talking about these things.
to look on the front and back page. That's just a way to speed the process up. If there isn't really a bunch of discussion to have about something.
So does anybody see any
I,
motions in?
sorry, yes, I wanted to
Hold on.
pull. Can you hear me?
I'm going to mute us so you can talk.
Okay. So the one to pull before the consent agenda, before I could approve the whole thing, is the one that's that says approve resolution for fire protection money. Other than that, I could approve everything.
Okay, I'm not prepared to consent agenda. talk about it. Okay. Whatever we want to do it.
Is there any you don't want to talk about? Maybe we can cross those off the list.
Are we gonna talk about the Gerhard, couple of Gerhard agreement, or is that just?
Okay, you want to consent agenda all the bump budget ones? Because there's 1, 2,
That would be fine with me.
3. And payment of bills, anything cool with that? Minutes, do we have any revisions to the minutes?
I had for that, I can't remember. Let's go through them tonight, and we can pass it quickly.
Yeah.
Let's go tonight. We can be more prepared for the consent agenda next time. Everybody might look at them and be prepared that we're gonna do them in bulk.
So the retainer agreement from the lawyer, I assume everybody got it. It's just updated, basically the same thing with different prices.
Yeah, so the general, so we have two retainers. One is the general retainer and then another is a labor retainer. We propose an increase just the labor retainer amount of $1,200 or $1,500.
I think it's 12.
Yeah, okay, that sounds right. Whatever, it's in the letter. And then we've been pretty successful in keeping everything within the retainer. The retainer covers certain categories of matters. If it doesn't fall into one of those categories, we don't put together a retainer. The village hasn't had many, if any, outside retainer matters other than things that are otherwise paid for by a third party, like a grant or something like that. And so the hourly rate, we're proposing an increase to that for outside retainer stuff. So it happens, it's been, I think, 10 years since the hourly rate changed, which is something that I don't think I realized, and my management committee saying we can't let that happen. So we're moving it to what we are pushing our other municipal clients to, new clients and existing clients. I think it's $250 for partners, $200 for associates, and $165 for paralegals. You'll notice, like previously, it was $165. Well, I'll say it was $165, same rate for associates and partners, which I don't know what people were thinking years ago, but we don't do that anymore. We recognize some tiers and rates of pay. So I don't have any questions on it.
And this will take effect
August 1st.
August 1st, next budget season. First thing, go $100. So the overall retainer is going $1,200.
What was it before? It was 40 rate?
40 and I think 15,000 for the.
So now it's to be 55, now it's 56, right?
So we need a motion and a second.
I'll motion to approve the updated retainer agreement with Coughlin and Gerhart.
I second that.
All right, very good.
I second that.
Any other discussion on that? Not sure. Steve?
Yes.
Yes. Brand?
Yes.
Chuck? Yes. Laura?
Yes.
Okay, and yes.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, discharge of mortgage?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to have a little bit more of the motion than we usually have than written. So I move that we discharge the mortgage on 54 Central Avenue held by Roger Kuchuk at $28,228.20.
I'll second it.
Good. Any discussion on that? Check it out.
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
Charles?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
And yes.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we discharge the mortgage on 54 North Avenue held by Roger Kuchuk at $26,590.44.
split that into two moves. Do you check that?
Okay, second, yeah, different motion for the other discussion.
Okay, any discussion on that one? Rusty,
Yes.
Ron,
Yes.
Fran,
Yes,
Charles? Laura?
Yes.
Next item, off the budget,
I have no problem with the 3 bumps.
you want to do the 3 together?
Whatever proper. Bruce, you made the motion for the resolution of the 3 bumps as listed on the agenda. Did I look at it right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Second by.
I'll second it, right?
Any
what is
discussion?
what is the purpose of this bump?
I'll take a look at the 3.
So
This one is different.
Yeah, each one's different, so they're all money that we receive in from a grant or whatnot.
Okay.
We got $2,000, Owego Historic Marketplace, or whatever, marketplace. And they donated the money for barricades. So we just transfer the money that comes in, and we just put it, come around to the fire department, or the police department plan. That's all. These are just like.
Thank you.
So they move it to the right line, and then they also increase the budget for that department by
Right.
that amount, so it doesn't, so.
It doesn't put them
Yeah,
over.
thank you.
That's why I kind of don't like the consent. I haven't had a chance to understand.
All right, any more discussion on the bumping of the budgets? We got 3 of them. We vote on them. Rusty,
Yes.
Ron,
Yes.
Fran,
Yes.
Charles? Next one, do we want to table that?
But yes, we should not take action on fire at this time.
Fire protection money, you guys putting that up?
That's my opinion on the list. Fire Commissioner Board.
We don't have the money in, so it's true, we don't have any contract. That was one I was gonna ask the chief about. What else?
We talked, me and I talked about that.
Okay. Next item, hire per diem EMS. Here's one of those department things you got on the job.
Now, we had hired this gentleman last week, so what's up? Last meeting, so what's up with this?
I believe we hired him before he was on the list.
Oh, yes.
He had to be on the
He had to
list.
pay us $15 an hour.
Okay.
So now he's on the list, and now we just,
It's a civil service order thing.
we were a little ahead of the game.
Gotcha.
So start before we hire
So that's.
Fran, you want to make a motion?
Rehire him.
It'd be nice to be there.
Fran, you want to make a motion?
Yeah, I make a motion that we hire Nicholas,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
there. We'll see it.
yeah, Polish guy. As the new EMS employee at a rate of $25 per hour effective April 5th, 2022.
I'll second that.
Any discussion about that?
Just a quick question. Did we need that board's per diem in there, or is that just fine?
Actually, it's a vote.
So
As a per diem employee.
Right,
I do think it should probably say as a new part-time. So that way it's clear in the resolution language itself. It's not.
Right, that's,
part-time per diem.
yeah.
So, yeah, to hire.
I think that's good.
Part-time.
Well,
Shall we vote? Rusty?
Yes.
Ron?
yes.
Fran?
Yes.
Charles? Yes. Sign. Laura?
She's working on her sign.
Yes.
Yes.
Gotcha.
I like it, very crafty. Next item,
I suggest that we move that screen over here.
we can put it wherever it's gonna work.
That makes it a little hard.
You should sit over here.
Yeah.
Well.
We can lay the room.
All right.
Yeah, but it's all in the ceiling, so we actually can put more.
Not that it matters, but we can certainly move this
Yeah,
to face it.
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, we just threw this together.
Yeah, no, yeah.
And then move stuff around.
Makes it different.
There's little spackles for it.
We got some nice picture frames, we can hang some.
I was gonna say, you never get the.
Got big picture.
Mr. Mayor,
Rusty?
The Little League has asked for a parade permit, which they do every year. The parade thing they've asked for is this standard thing that they asked for on 30th, the standard closing of the street, the North Avenue to get them down to the tank. The league field, the fire police to do the traffic. I move that we accept the parade permit.
Is there a date on that?
Yeah, April 30th at 8-ish in the morning. It's on there. Moving time at 8:30 in the morning. Because it's down 2 minutes before. But we'll get the approval for it.
Thank you.
Wait a second. Any discussion about the parade permit for the Little League? Rusty? Yes. Ron? Yes. Frank?
Yes.
Charles? Laura?
Yes.
Yes. All right, next item, minutes, 3/7/2022.
That's actually today's date, and we're looking at 2/22/22.
It's actually right in the motion. Heading there.
It's the wrong day.
Oh, okay. Well, anyways, all motion to approve the minutes as presented for 2/22/22.
Rusty, want to look at something?
Laura, would it be okay with you if we did the bills first? There was something in here I saw before, and I'm trying to look back real quick and find it.
Sure thing.
All right, let's go to, we'll come back to that. Well, Rusty's reading.
Thank you.
I guess I have a question in the payment of bills. I saw that there's a police officer that has a medical bill, and that's unusual for us. So I was just curious about why that showed up. For chest X-ray.
What page?
Page number?
I don't know the page number. But I'll find it.
Once again, something on the agenda. To the doctors.
On page 10,
Mike, you want this?
All right.
on page 10. Oh, should have got two. But she's been texting.
Texted?
Yeah.
I do remember something about this, but I don't remember the specifics.
So it just, is it because it's something that it would appear in our general bills instead of like a normal medical incident or medical anything? Or maybe, no, we would see everything, and so this is just normal?
You know, we can check into it, into that one.
All right. How about if you pay it, then I'll get you more details, and then we're gonna put you. I don't, I can't be at line, because
Yeah, the chief put in sign for it.
Chief said no.
I don't know if something happened on duty. It'll be, sure. Oh, yeah.
Page 10.
So we can either approve it and get more information, or we can pull that one item out and approve the rest of everything else.
No, it's totally fine with me to leave it right in. And
And
is Russ ready with?
$38, yeah.
We'll get some details.
Yeah, we'll figure out what's up.
Okay.
The logo funding.
You made a motion, and
I don't think we have one yet. Somebody want to make a motion to accept the payment of bills?
I'll make a motion to accept bills.
Second.
Any more discussion about the payment of bills? Oh, watch it, sorry. You put up this quote? Oh. Right. You guys gotta watch the TV, you're over there.
yes.
Fran,
Yes.
Charles?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
That's what he said.
Okay, I found the piece about the thing that I was,
Okay, so
a little question on.
Minutes, go back to the minutes.
We're on minutes now?
Minutes, okay.
Okay, Laura, I found the piece on the minutes that I have a question about. So when we hired Mr. Ulrich, we hired him provisionally until he passes
Civil service.
civil service test. And that doesn't say this in here. This just says we hired him, and then there's a probationary period, 1 year. But it doesn't say that we hired him provisionally till then, and then
Okay.
1 year, or maybe I missed it. There's a probationary period, 1 year,
Permanent.
contingent on passing the superintendent of public works exam. Does it need to be,
I had some, I don't recall the exact language of the motion, but if somebody is hired as a provisional person, they are not permanently appointed until they are certified, and then they can be.
And then they start-
You'll need a later motion to permanently appoint him after he becomes qualified.
so I would like that motion to read that, because we said that he's a provisional employee until he passes this public works. That's something necessary in the motion.
Anything about a gray line across from the sewage treatment plant?
A gray line.
Uh-oh, fire department's going there.
Great.
Well, it's a gray line.
Well, it's, so think of like stormwater,
It's also
rainwater.
village sewage treatment, gray line down across roadway.
Well, that's
I
probably.
assume if it's a gray line.
That's probably not.
All my lines are underground, so if they're saying a gray line across the road, I'm guessing they're meaning a cable line or something.
What is it?
That sounds like.
Yeah.
If that's just fine, if that's just fine, I'm okay, but we hired him provisionally until that passes that. So I kind of thought that that would be in the motions provisional until he passes that, and then when we're provision that, or would you say we would have to do another motion after?
At the time as he becomes permanently, he would need, you need a second. You would need a motion at that.
So then that's what that should read, that we hired him provisionally until he passes.
Yeah, and I'm thinking that this might be me when we were going through the language of it, rather than this nuance, because we were focused on all the other pieces of it.
Vacation.
Yeah, so I think the board,
How about you send me the latest grade?
well, I think actually what should happen is, this was what was passed, but I think the board needs to pass a motion. And see, this is the type of motion that can come last minute. And I'm coming up with it right now. But-
You guys is freezing by about minutes.
So
I didn't.
I don't get copy.
So you think we need a new motion?
Well, I think it's just to amend your prior motion to clarify that he's a provisional hire until action is taken for a permanent appointment.
And I move that we amend the previous motion that he's a provisional hire until action is taken.
To make him a
Something permanent.
That's the only, that's.
Okay. Did you get all that, Laura?
I did.
Okay. So I move we approve.
Or you're gonna go on. You made a second to, before that, let's do amend a motion from last time. Just to clarify that he's provisional. So he's qualified to be permanent. Rusty?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
Charles? Laura?
Yes.
Yeah.
Since that is the new motion today, that wouldn't be.
Correct.
Yeah, the minutes are actually right.
Time for the minutes. Laura?
Approve as now amended.
We didn't
We
amend
didn't
it.
amend. We made a new motion for tonight.
Oh, that was new for tonight. Okay, well then, for the minutes, well then, it'll just stay as is.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Second.
Charles second.
Charles, he's got the big second. I second. Any discussion about the minutes? The Rusty's thing that was fixed. Rusty?
Yeah.
Ron?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
Charles? Yeah. Yeah. Laura? Sam?
Yes.
Okay. And yeah.
Well, they're also saying yes. They haven't been much time.
And then nodding, whatever.
Okay.
Trustee reports. Rusty?
No report.
Ron?
No report.
Fran?
Yeah, well, I would just like to commend Stephanie Cole. She does a great job with her grant writing. I mean, almost everything she puts in for the EMS. That's why
Yeah, she was great.
she did. I mean, with almost $25,000. Fantastic. There's the cemetery, at the moment, a particular report for the committee, but I would like to report the Friends of the Evergreen Cemetery, which is a 501c3. They have been doing a lot of work. They have the $5,000 that they received from the bank. They have contracted with Sandy Rusick, RUSCA, to do the work, which will start probably as the weather warms up, probably May.
Those are the windows.
Yeah, for the windows, for the, thank you, for the chapel. And approximately total cost would be around $10 to repair those windows. But so they're working to raise more funds. They'll be having a booth at the Strawberry Festival, help raise money. But so, yeah, I mean, we have the plexiglass that was already purchased, and they'll do one window at a time, and they'll do put up plywood to cover that. So, you know, right now it's hard to say if they'll get it completed this year or, you know, if it'll take 2 years to complete all the windows. But so things are moving along there with the repairing windows for the shop.
All right, so, yeah, good.
Yeah.
So Charles, next I'm gonna mute here, Charles. You got no report?
No report.
All right. Laura, I'm gonna do.
Okay, I got something. So the OHPC, the Owego Historic Preservation Commission, they submitted their sort of quarterly report. It covered November, December 2021 and January, February 2022, and all the projects that were approved in that time. There was like the big North Avenue Streetscape Improvement Project, 350 Main, 53 and 55 North Ave. And they'll have their next meeting coming up the beginning of next month. They just had theirs last week. And also planning had a meeting March 1st that I went to that application. There was only one application on there, and it is sort of tabled for more information for the next meeting. And we had a meeting, I think it was Friday, and that was my first meeting there in person in that new building that you guys are in. And we were talking about a federal grant for flooding mitigation purposes. And so we were talking about getting generators, so the wastewater treatment plant and the DPW building, and for maybe some of the water pump stations. We're looking into, you know, how many generators we could possibly use and afford, and then also if we could use this money, because it's 75% federal money and we just match it with 25%. So we're looking into any opportunities that we can use to help us close out our one remaining CAV violation, to see if we could use it to help support that. There's a property that we were looking at that could have been a buyout to help with like the demolition costs of that. That doesn't look like that will pan out at all because of the demo costs would be more than the buyout. And we're looking into if we can relocate some of the services and do some flood proofing on the village buildings to see if that could be something that we could do to reinforce our structures with this grant money. So the grant was extended to June. So we have a little bit more time to get it together, and we're working with the town of Owego in part on submitting this. And that's it for me. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Laura. Next thing is communications. Have anything great? It is, well, obviously elections coming June from tomorrow, March 15th over at the fire station. And we did get a thing from NICOM. They're doing an annual thing they do in Sagamore. It's a Stackmore across Elm Street. Yeah.
It's a good place.
If anybody wants to go, it's 3 days in May. So at the office. I'm probably going. I got to figure it out with the kids and picking them up from school and stuff.
We'll get this member, we'll give you the agenda and all that.
Yeah, I know I sent an email about it, but what the girls know. Got it in the airmail. Pigeon goes over there. Let's see, marriage report. I've been busy. Obviously, we accepted the new building. That's the big news. So actually, we're doing now is we're trying to coordinate the move over here. We got to coordinate it with IT because we're also switching over to county IT with the shared services. So they're the ones who are providing internet and phones and everything for the whole village, but we're cutting that switch over when we move here. So we're working with them to coordinate, like we don't want to move here and there'd be no phones here.
Yeah.
Or the phones are ringing here and we're still in the other building. So anyway, we're figuring all that out, getting a timeline together.
I have no issue with them.
Yeah.
They have issues with that, yeah.
They're glad to have no phones
They
ringing.
come here, there's no phones, that's okay with them. So anyway, more to come about that, but we come in the next,
So we're gonna have a grand opening
once we get all in
of the
here. Yeah.
size and
Yeah, we'll be coming here. So. Last item, as usual, public comment.
I got two things for you. One is, can the village do anything to get Price Chopper and CVS and Walgreens and all these other places to get out and pick up all the grocery carts that are all over town? Since spring is coming up, it's spring cleaning and
Yeah. I know we picked a bunch of them up last year.
they're stuffed in alleyways, and I know last year somebody threw something down the underpass on Fox Street there.
When I was a kid, there used to be people that go around and just pick them up and sell them back to the stores.
Well, Shelley Bogart's dad used to be, they should pay him to pick up some grocery carts before out town and bring it back.
There's some local law decision that's supposed to.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
I remember some
I
weird
mean, can
law.
we send a notice to the.
There's been like two of them sitting out in front of John's for 2 weeks now that don't belong to John's.
I think we can claim ownership after a week.
There's one down the alley by your
At
shop.
one point in my shop, we had one of those skinny businesses.
So that's the first thing. Second thing is,
We'll check into it and figure it out.
the 15th is the Harrison Diner will have been in business 40 years.
Well, 15th March,
March 15th, yep.
the eyes.
Sam doesn't know that we got something planned, so, because
That's
he already
election
said
day,
there'll be no celebration, but there could be, I gotta go see Michelle about cake and.
Doesn't get on the
How do you say
radio.
this, get them to put an ad in.
It doesn't get on YouTube, does
He doesn't know. He's got a cell phone, he can't figure out how to work.
Yeah.
Doesn't know what- You know, when he gets a text message, he thinks it's a phone call. So,
You done, Dave?
uh,
You all-
Yep, that's all I got.
Mr. Mayor,
it? Rusty?
we should consider, doing those little proclamations. Be nice to meet you, friend.
So that's before the next board meeting. Oh, you guys don't.
That's election day.
It's before the next board meeting, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you guys have to approve the proclamation things. No, you don't,
If it's something
you
you know,
don't, they put together, you sign, your side, and I sign it.
Yeah.
I would appreciate it if you would,
Yeah,
we're sorry to do a proclamation.
Yeah.
Free hamburger, yeah.
There'll be free desserts.
Okay.
So we set a time for dedication.
Yeah, whatever you guys want.
Dedication of what?
To give them the proclamation.
Oh,
What time do you open?
It's 5:30 in the morning,
Yeah, but
and he doesn't get there till 6.
till,
And then we're open till about 1:30.
Maybe like a.
Close sign goes out the door at 1:30.
so.
Mr. Mayor, why don't you work something out with Mr. Devine, you know, all that stuff, you know, when the surprise kind of stuff is
Right.
coming. Yeah.
We don't want to come before the cake.
And you can,
Well, if
Yeah, give us
if I can work something out with a certain board member, he will actually be there Monday night.
Okay. Well, you let me know when you're doing your thing.
So that when he comes in the morning, it's sitting on the counter.
I mean, we'll do our thing. We're already verified. You know, he likes the Yankees.
Yeah, yeah. You can't help it, no, he likes the Yankees.
Yeah.
we'll do that.
We'll do it.
Move to adjourn.
All right. All right, have a good night, everybody. Charles and Laura, Robin, still.
Hour and 5 minutes.
That's it.